everyone. This is Hannah Finrow, VP of Marketing and Education at CTEDU. To highlight the amazing work and influence of our graduates, today we have a special featured graduate interview. We recently sat down with Sawsan Rizeq, Supervisor of Retention and Academic Life Coach at Milwaukee Area Technical College. Sawsan plays a major role in the implementation and success of her school's coaching program. You'll hear in this interview about her own journey to coaching and how academic life coaching has made a big impact. And with that, let's take a listen.
So first, I'd love to hear your story. Brief bio, and your position now and what you're up to at MATC.
Awesome. So my name is Sawsan. We used to call us retention coaches, but the name retention doesn't make sense to students. So we changed it to academic life coaching. I've been in that role for about 3 years. Recently actually promoted to supervisor of academic life coaching. So I'm excited. And a lot of it is because of the technology part too that I help with at the college. I feel like I was doing coaching before I actually got the official role. I was a student success liaison, helping students connect with resources and just help them guide them through college. So I feel like I already had like a little practice doing that, and then just learning more skills and enhanced my abilities in coaching. Yeah.
It feels like it's pretty common for people in your role to feel that, like, I was doing this and then, oh, here's the name for it. And
Right.
wow, there's a whole level of, I don't know, different tools, standards, things like that. What was one of the biggest ahas, or what was one of the things that you felt that was very familiar to you about the training? And then what was one of the things that was surprising?
One of the biggest things that was surprising is just reminding myself to coach the student and guide them, and not to coach the problem, and try to figure out solutions for them. And I think, like, in the beginning, I felt like I had to be the fixer, because some students come to you with like issues and they just want someone to give them the answers, or they think they want someone to give them the answers. So that was kind of like, okay, like, this is something I wasn't born with. I actually have to practice the skill. And something that, what was the first question?
Felt familiar. Yeah. What
Sound
felt
familiar?
Yeah.
Oh, just guiding people and making them feel comfortable in a safe space.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like as an older sister to 7 siblings and a mother, I just always was empathetic and always made students feel like no matter what, like, it was a non-judgment free zone, and we all have our own path. So when students come to an office, they see a professional, and I think sometimes it's intimidating. You know, they want to tell their story, but they don't want to be judged. They might be an adult coming back to school after 10 years, or maybe they failed the last 2 semesters. And so it appears that they want to tell you what you want to hear because they're embarrassed. And once we break that barrier, and then they realize I'm human too, then it's easier for them to kind of like, okay, I don't have to prove myself to this person because it's my own journey. So that's really helpful.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a place of a lot of vulnerability. I imagine, you're officially representing the college, and yet you're also, as an academic life coach, completely on their side. How do you communicate, or how do you juggle both roles as an academic life coach?
So first of all, if they haven't met me, if it's like our first introduction, I make sure that they know that I work for them. Like, I wouldn't have a job if there wasn't students. So I'm not the principal's office calling you to get you in trouble. We're in college now, you're adults. And, you can come to me with anything. Like, how like there's I don't want to bother you again. Bother me, please. That is my job. So just, putting their minds at ease that them connecting with me is not a bother. And once we break those barriers, and then they know that, like, I'm human. I'm in a professional setting. I have to wear professional clothing, and but at the end of the day, like, circle it back to the human aspect, and maybe sometimes, without trying to make this about myself, I do share a little bit just so they know that, like, hey, it took me 10 years to go back to school too, kind of to make them feel that, like, not every professional person that they see when they walk into college, finished college in 4 years and did the traditional route. So I think once we break that, then you can see like an ease in their eyes, and then they sit comfortable on the chair, and they're like, okay, let's talk.
How, like, after a day like that, like, you have to feel like you're saving the world, like having these conversations. Uh, how has the training or how has your position affected your life?
Oh, that's funny because I have college students myself.
Okay.
And they've actually like seen me because during the pandemic we did a lot of our training, so they were at home doing their schooling, then they would hear me go through my training, and so like they're getting insight. But then when I would talk to them, they're like, "Please don't coach us." Like if they came to me to like we're your children, so I actually want an answer. Don't coach me. Um, so that's kind of funny. But in other aspects, it's really helped with like friendships.
Yeah.
Um when friends come to you with problems and you actually like take the time to listen instead of trying to think of what's the next thing you're going to say. So it's helped me actually put perspective in listening to people. Yeah. So lots of growth, definitely.
I mean, it's interesting because I feel like what coaching has done is it's moved so far in the empowerment direction. But sometimes that can be annoying to people too, because no, just tell me what I need to do. That also like plays into the idea of like what happens between advising and coaching and the tug of war between advising and coaching, where advisors say, no, we want to hold on to the knowledge basis of delivering power. And sometimes students just want the answers. How do you deal with students who just want the answers and like you're just like, no, this is here, we're here to coach you? Or do the students really just come to you and they know that it's coaching?
No, they don't know. I don't think a lot of students know what coaching is. Once they do, I think it's, they can then they know what to expect. But in the beginning, it depends because if the situation is really like they just want the answer, like it's hardly black and white in my situation. But what I'll do is I'll give them what their options are. Let's say it's not really coaching, it's like they're failing in the class. So I just lay out all the options. I can't tell them what the best option is, but at least they have a guide that okay, I have this one. If I withdraw, it won't affect my GPA. If I stay in the class and I drop it, it'll so once they see the options, then I just tell them like it's your life, it's your choice, and at the end of the day, like nobody can give you that answer except you. So kind of it's also empowering to give it back to them. I'm not
Mhm.
telling them what to do. So if something doesn't work out, they kind of learn. And not that it's like you have to learn a hard lesson, like that's just part of life we have to learn. So I think just giving back them the power is not a bad thing.
Right. 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 Yeah. I mean, I feel like that is best practice because I know
Yeah.
a lot of advisors, they wrestle with this. They truly wrestle with it. And I
Yeah.
think it's part of the idea that there's a myth around what coaching is and isn't. I think the biggest myth is coaching is like, as a life coach, you tell people what to do. It's almost the opposite.
Yeah. That
And then
was a
the
lot
coach,
of during practice too, as during the training is keeping my opinions of how to solve your problems till the end.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it was just that was another practice,
Mhm.
like we talked, like the some skills that you just know how to be as a human, and some things you're like, no, I need to listen, I need to wait.
Yeah. I mean, that is probably the biggest myth. And so, but a lot of students don't know this either. It's almost like they need to be trained on how to be a client and undo a lot of their conditioning of, oh, I'm here talking to someone who has power. Like, let me like be a certain way. What if you notice when students release that? Like, or how long does it take students to release? I know over time that gets quicker and quicker. How fast are you, and how have you got quicker at getting students to relax?
I think honestly, from the first in-person meeting, it's hard to do it on the phone. You don't know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
I hate phone meetings, but I want to make myself available to students if they don't have internet or they just can't make it to campus. So I offer that in person and it's fine to someone that you know. But for first meetings, I really prefer virtual or in person. And it's kind of like before they walk out of the door, I want them to know that like they don't have to tell me what I want to hear. And this space is for them. So that's my goal before they leave in the first meeting.
Yeah. I mean, just saying those things like, yeah, can I join? Like, can I sign up for a coaching session?
I'll send you my link.
Yeah. Where do you see the future? Or like, I know MATC has had a pretty substantial, and continue to have a pretty substantial support of coaches and people being coach trained. How has that made an impact on the larger institution?
We're still working on it, I feel, but I think what's helped is our relationships with faculty too. I think the more I engage with faculty, then they have a better understanding of my role as a coach. And then you can tell the faculty that we haven't engaged with, they'll want us to be literally the principal's office. Like, here, the student hasn't shown up, go talk to them. So there's a disconnect, and like, no, that's not what coaching is, but I'll be happy to find out what's going on in their life that's preventing them from succeeding. So I think the more coaches engage with faculty, then the better they have a better understanding of what that is. Because our role was created like right before the pandemic. It's not like advising has been around forever.
Right.
So in the beginning, when they named us retention coaches, it was just like, yeah, you have a problem, go to a retention coach. And so we were the fixers. And we were the first one. So we were like the small scale implementation of coaching. And I think, first of all, I love the group of coaches that I work with. Like, it's insane how much, like, we don't see each other. We all work at different campuses, but we can rely on each other. And we've developed, the training was awesome to go to. That was the first time that we could be vulnerable in front of each other and actually get to know each other as coaches. And that brought us closer together as a team, despite working in different campuses. So that helped us to develop our own like marketing. Like, how did we want to market ourselves to the college and to students?
Yeah, like it's a marketing campaign that relies on trust that's built between even doing the training. I feel like the training is this beautiful opportunity that you only get to go once.
Yeah.
But when you take it with that group of people, it is a special group of people. You go through the training with it first. It's so good to hear.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because in the beginning, I think like their first 8 weeks, it was like with everybody from the college who was interested. But when it dwindled down to just the coaches, it was like a different level because we took it not necessarily more seriously, but like with more, I don't know, is passion the right word? Like, we really wanted to hone in on the skill.
Makes total sense. In marketing the coaching, what's been the biggest surprise, or what's been the biggest thing that the biggest adjustment that you've made from the initial marketing to where you are now?
That is a good question. I think at first, the marketing team did a video that did not represent us. And now I feel like our marketing is more ourselves, our outreach, and the events that we do. We literally do one of our coworkers started something called, I think something like recess, where we just bring out games and snacks, and literally students walk by and then we talk to them and how's your day? Do you know what academic life coach is? Another coworker did donuts, coffee and donuts. So I think us ourselves
doing
more than
it's just
yeah.
like doing, if you are trying to build your own independent coaching practice, it's
Yeah.
a series of events that you're just getting people to and just introducing them slowly, gently to coaching.
Right.
It's wild. It's how much it lines up.
Those events actually helped me get to know the general personalities of my students. So I did my first event that I was really proud of was a Valentine's Day event for specifically my music students. So it was last year we did a Valentine's Day event, and they absolutely loved it. They got to actually hang out together. It was camaraderie. We played games, and then I talked more about coaching. And then after that, some of them even followed up with me. And then I tried to do the same event for animation students, and they were like, no, not really into it. And it made me realize it's just a different group of students. Their animations usually not group projects. They're loners. They want to work on a project. So me smiling and offering them snacks is not the way to approach. They're gonna be like, what does she want? What's the catch? So I'm like, oh, okay, I need a different approach. So I talked to one of the faculty and I'm like, what would get them more interested? He suggested an open lab where they can work on some software that they like. And then I could maybe talk about coaching and, so I had to learn about my students. I had to meet them where they wanted to be met. I couldn't just expect everyone is going to get excited over a Valentine's Day themed party, but the music students loved it. And they're like, are you going to do this again? And I'm not putting everyone in a box and saying all music students are the same or all animation students, but it kind of gave me a general idea that I have to change it up for certain, students who share the same interests. So I'm still developing how I want to keep on doing my outreaches. That's I think it's going to be a constant development, which I don't mind because, I love learning new things and how I can make myself better. If someone could pay me to just go to school, I would. I'm one of those people. So let me learn more about my students. I like to, and I mean this genuinely. When they come to my office and they tell me they're in photography, I'm like, I want to see your work. Like, let's not just talk about it. Show me your work. And at the end of the day, it's about them.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun. I feel like it's like, yay. Like it's coaching people. And if you were to coaching
Yes.
people involved in academics, or
Mhm.
anytime you're working with a student, that student is breaking new ground in their own awareness. And collectively as humanity is collectively moving forward. And then when you hear someone talk like yourself, who's in it, you just feel like, yeah, born to do this work. It makes sense.
It's
Um,
funny because when I went to, sorry,
no, go
when
for it.
I
Go for
first
it.
went to school and I didn't know what I wanted to do, I'm actually an English major. Like I got
Mhm.
my master's degree in English, and um, I found myself in the coaching role. I'm like, maybe I was meant to be a coach, but it's good because I like English and I like the aspect, but you never know in life. So yeah, I do feel like this was the right opportunity and it worked out well.
Congrats. I mean, congrats for finding a position, being where you're, there's a certain element of born to do this work.
Yeah.
There's a feeling of it. Yeah. I feel it for you. I feel it. Yay. I feel it too often. It's almost a daily feeling of, yeah, I was born to do this. I'm pretty much made for this.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I knew that when I was like helping my younger siblings with their homework.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was coaching them in some way, whether it was bossy big sister way or just like kind of listening to them. Yeah.
Anything else? Uh, Before I wrap this up, it's lovely to meet you and hear how you're using it and to feel your energy around coaching. It is very energizing.
Thank you. You as well. I think if I could reflect on like my latest appointment with a student, he was a first timer. And sometimes when we do the outreach, some students are like, I don't have time to meet with a coach. I don't know what they want. And sometimes they'll meet with you and it's like their last, like they don't know what else to do. And they're like, maybe this person who's been trying to reach me can help. And so they're really just coming because it's like the last thing that they can think of. And I had a student who was almost embarrassed to talk to me because he didn't want to he felt like he was letting down his parents.
Mm.
And I don't know, there's this pressure with students who to finish school like right away, like 2 years, just they're on a race. And I first I let him talk, and he like his shoulders were like down, and he was like he couldn't look me in the face, like as if I feel like when he was looking at me, he was also seeing his parents. And I don't know what his family situation is, and um, like I just reminded him like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, when I want them to leave feeling like this is a safe space, I want them to leave from the very first meeting. And not for me so they can come back, then I can coach them, just so they know that, like, even if they don't have a support system outside of school, that at least there's one person when they come into the building that they could go to. And so I looked at him and I felt in that moment I had to give him a little advice after he like vented. And that's when I said, like school's not a race and we all make mistakes. And I think he just had in the mindset like one failed semester was just like he was like scum of the earth. Literally, that's what his eyes were telling me, and I felt so bad. And that's in those moments is when I share my story. And then that's what I was talking about earlier when like they sit back and then they can lift their head and then they look at you in the face and then they're actually looking at you and they're not embarrassed. And even though we didn't solve his problem right away, it was the first step. So that's when we talk about like reward in the job, that's the reward in the job. It's not even fixing the problem, but the moment that they could leave feeling like, okay, like I'll come back and talk to her.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, for me, I've experienced a lot of students, uh, they might be hesitant at first, where they're trying to feel me out. They'll ask questions or they'll throw out a situation that feels a little, I don't know, like something's slightly heavy. Sometimes I feel like it's made up just to see how I'll react.
Mm,
And when I don't react with judgment or the usual adult response of, well, these are the things you need to do, and this is why this was wrong and this was right. Um, when I don't react that way, I can almost feel the like cascade of relief. And I realize students have never been listened to actively, empathetically, without judgment in their entire lives.
yeah. No, that's a perfect description. Yeah, is
And
not to react the way every adult or person has reacted in their life.
yeah, And then they go, well, what is this? Okay, this is different. And then it's all of a sudden, okay, wow, I have a safe space. Here comes the waterfall. Here comes the dam is broke. Here comes all the water in there. It's just like their whole life comes out, and it's amazing to feel it. It feels, it's not therapy, but it's therapeutic. And that's been my experience of it. It's so fulfilling as a human to
Yeah.
create space for another human to do that.
It's not therapy, but therapeutic. I'm gonna use that. That's a good one. Because that's a good way to describe it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's perfect.
I feel like we could riff on coaching for a long
I
time.
know. It's like you're reading my mind.
Just listening deeply, right? Like that's that's it.
That's not-
And it's not, we were at a dinner party a couple months ago, and we're sitting there, and one of the people there was like, I feel like, and I was with Amois. She's like, I feel like you guys have super listening powers. Like you're super listeners. Because we're both like, we're both like listening. We're actually listening. And this is where I feel like this is a larger movement. This isn't just about the schools. This isn't just about like, it's a larger human movement of technology is moving so rapidly. I feel like this is new technology around listening, like how to listen to the human, not to your filter of the human. And that's a big deal. That's a big shift. And thank you for the work you're doing. Like it's very clear you're on the forefront of it too, on an
Yeah, no,
institution
thank
basis.
you.
And
Yeah. No, thank you. I'm glad to be practicing it every day, whether it annoys my children or helps my students.
that's right. That's right.